Hey, how's it going, and welcome to another video. Alright, I'm only slightly late to the Persona 5 Strikers review party, but I just play games very slowly, I don't know. I usually just like to play games and kind of enjoy them at my own pace, so here we are. This is going to be a non-spoiler review. I'm saving, talking about the real nitty-gritty of the story and stuff for another video. But yeah, this is basically my review without giving away any, story specifics. So Strikers is a game that I've been looking forward to for a long time. I remember years and years and years ago saying how much I wanted, either a Persona or Megami Tensei, just, action game of some sort, like a Warriors game. I was like, oh man, that'd be so cool. And, a million years ago at this point, it got revealed, and I was like, oh man, this looks great. This looks like so much fun. And then we kind of just had to wait, because the localization took a while. Japan got this game over a year ago at this point. So how much of that you want to blame on the pandemic or just, Atlus's slow localization process? I don't know. It took a while for it to get to us, but it finally got to us, and I think the thing that surprised me more than anything was just how much it felt like an actual Persona 5 2, rather than just, another, spin-off. And at least for me, I think I was expecting this game to be a lot less story-focused. I was kind of expecting more of just, yeah, fuck it, whatever, it's a Warriors game, and maybe there's also some other stuff going on, but it surprised me by how much it really does feel like a sequel to Persona 5. I figured I'd mention the visuals and performance of the game, especially because I played this on PC, so all of my thoughts are kind of based on this version in mind, and the game looks really nice. The Persona 5 style is perfectly replicated, all the, animated cutscenes look really good, and at least for me, the game ran very, very well. Obviously, if you're on the Switch, you might have had a different experience, but for me, it was a pretty constant frame rate. I really don't remember the game, chugging at all. It seemed to always be running pretty fine. The two kind of major issues I had, the one that, actually caused me problems was sometimes during the loading screens, the game would just lock up on me. This happened about, I would say, maybe about half a dozen times where it would get to, the loading screen where it shows the little Phantom Thieves logo, and then it would just stop, and it would crash on me. So that was kind of frustrating. I don't know if that's just something that's, that went wrong on my end, or if that's, a problem other people have experienced, but it happened way more times for it to be just, a stray anomaly, so that was something that caused me a problem. And the other thing that was slightly annoying is the game refused to, agree with the idea that I wanted it to default to full screen. Every time I had to launch the game, I would have to go into the settings, set the display to full screen, because every time I started, it would start in windowed mode. So that was just a minor inconvenience, but otherwise, I'd say it's a pretty good porting job. I don't regret getting it on PC at all. I'm pretty sure I managed to get just, the best performance in terms of frame rate and, the visuals of it all compared to, especially the Switch. But the main draw of it is definitely the gameplay, and I had a lot of fun with it. Like I said, it really did surprise me by how much it felt like less of just a strictly Persona 5 Muso game and more of just a Persona 5 action game. It really does feel like it's Persona 5 translated into an action game, and I think they did a really good job incorporating a lot of just these RPG kind of elements into this system. Obviously, all the different personas have, resistances and weaknesses, and you have to hit those weaknesses to get the all-out attacks. And using healing spells is a major part of it, and you have all the different buffs and stuff. And even though it is a Muso, so a lot of the time you do kind of just slaughter these enemies a lot more often than I was expecting. The enemies were kind of tough. It felt a lot less like a constant series of slaughters, and sometimes there would be fairly tricky fights. Just the sheer amount of enemies that are on screen sometimes can get a little bit overwhelming, and you do legitimately have to think about, resource management and dodging the myriad of attacks that are going on. And you're by no means invincible. You're definitely pretty tough, and you have, healing spells and whatever else. You have a lot of ways to kind of circumvent the huge amount of shit that's on screen, but... And they also managed to make pretty much all the playable characters, I would say, at least fun. There wasn't a single character that I thought, oh man, I hate playing as this person. I was pretty consistently swapping between all of my party members because I enjoyed all of their gameplay. I may end up doing, a tier list for how much fun I thought the characters were. But yeah, they were all a lot of fun, and I think they really did a great job just kind of capturing these characters' fighting styles as they were in Persona 5. and translating it into like a playable form. Yusuke just being Virgil is fucking rad. And because the elemental system is carried over, so everything has like strengths and weaknesses, all of your party members feel useful. And even though I'm saving most of my thoughts on the actual story for the next video, I gotta say, I really enjoyed the road trip plot of the game. Especially since we live in the fucking apocalypse and travel isn't, like, really a thing. I think it was just so much fun, like, getting to spend time with these characters, going on this road trip, seeing the different parts of Japan. This game is like a secret undercover game made by the fucking Japanese Board of Tourism or something. And it really just comes together as a great, like, celebration of the various cities of Japan and their culture, and it's just a lot of fun to explore these places. And something else I enjoyed was just spending time with the Persona 5 cast. Although they definitely do kind of fall into their usual quirks, like Yusuke is obsessed with art, and Ryuji really likes ramen. There's actually a lot of genuine character moments in the game, and I would say they're more kind of intact than I was expecting them to be. And I would say maybe my favorite thing about the game is Zenkichi. I will be saving most of my thoughts on Zenkichi for his own video, but I really loved him. I thought he was a great character. He's just such a fun character with an enjoyable story, and I also have to say the voice acting in this game is really on point. The cast returned and they did a great job. But there were definitely some things about it that I didn't like. Most of my, like, problems with the game will kind of rear its head when we talk about actual spoiler stuff, but I will say one issue with it is definitely the repetition of it all, and I mean that less in terms of just, like, the gameplay. It's a Warriors game. Repetition is kind of to be expected. But I mean more in terms of just kind of the structure of the game does become kind of predictable after a while. You do pretty much follow the same series of steps in every jail, with some exceptions, but... And I would say another issue I do have with it is that it feels like it leans very hard on the fact that it is a sequel to Persona 5. And beyond just the obvious, you know, same cast, same kind of graphical style, to the point where I have to wonder how much of it is, like, an intentional homage to Persona 5 and how much of it is just them literally copying themselves. Like I said, I'll talk more about this in the spoiler video, but after a while it does start to feel less like Persona 5 2 and more kind of just like Persona 5 again. And especially towards the end, the story starts to get very, very predictable. But yeah, overall, I'd say I enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun just like hanging out with the Persona 5 crew again. I really enjoyed the road trip setup of it all. The gameplay was a lot of fun and surprisingly more kind of intricate than I was expecting it to be. Zenkichi is awesome, it looks great, but ironically, just like its predecessor, it's the actual story and the events that transpire throughout it that I think kind of hold it back. But yeah, that has been the video. I hope you all enjoyed. Look forward to the spoiler video coming up eventually, and also the video about Zenkichi, and also that Strikers gameplay tier list. But yeah, I'll see you guys next time.